What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Avengers Tower, and I've got so much on my mind with regards to Secret Wars, with regards to Avengers Kang Dynasty, and how the next 3 years are going to shake out for the MCU, building up to these two epic Avengers movies. And we're going to be doing a ton of different videos, breaking down different aspects of it, and of course, following along with all of you and the news and the different movies and shows that are going to be coming out. But one of the main questions, one of the biggest confusions that I see out there with different people is about Kang the Conqueror and Doctor Doom. And there's actually a reason for this. Despite Kevin Feige setting up Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror as the main villain of the Multiverse Saga, despite him saying that, there's actually good reason that many folks believe Doctor Doom will be established as the actual overarching villain for Phase 4, 5, and 6, and perhaps be the true villain that everybody is fighting against in the Secret Wars movie. So let's get into this. Let's break it down. Let's talk about why people feel this way, why there's such confusion, and then I'll speculate about how I think Kevin Feige is going to handle this. There's actually some clues out there. And so the biggest reason that people think Doctor Doom will actually be the main villain of Secret Wars is because the most recent version of Secret Wars in Marvel Comics had Doom as its villain. And I've talked about this at great length. Rob from Comics Explained has a ton of great videos breaking down that comic book run, but essentially the TLDR is that Doctor Doom discovers that the Beyonders plan to end the entire multiverse, and so he goes around taking all of these different molecule men, or Owen Reeses, from throughout the multiverse, and he collects them all to create this collection type bomb. And at the edge of time, with the entire multiverse about to be destroyed, standing next to Stephen Strange, Doctor Doom unleashes that bomb of different molecule men, killing the Beyonders, and then absorbing their power, grabbing out the different parts of the now fractured and destroyed multiverse, and crushing it all down to a singular planet referred to as Battle World. And during the Secret Wars event, Doctor Doom ruled over Battle World as a god. That's where you get the white suit Doctor Doom, all those epic photos and comic book panels that you've seen before. It's absolutely incredible. God Emperor Doom, total badass. I obviously really love the character and I want him to be in the movie, but is that going to be the way Kevin Feige does his Secret Wars? That I'm not so sure about. And although we do have something like the incursions being introduced in Multiverse of Madness, and I think a big part of what's going to push us towards Secret Wars, that doesn't necessarily mean that the MCU Secret Wars is going to be a direct adaptation of the Jonathan Hickman run. But it is also worth pointing out that Doctor Doom plays a role in all the different versions of Secret Wars, and in the very first Secret Wars, he plays a major role where he also steals the power of the Beyonder back then and takes over Battle World itself. And on top of that, yes, Doctor Doom is being established at the end of Wakanda Forever, and you're getting a Fantastic Four movie right before you get Kang Dynasty. And we do know that Kevin Feige is going to combine some of the Hickman stuff with some of the stuff for the original Secret Wars as well. And this leaked out because Jim Shooter, the original writer of Secret Wars, was contacted by Marvel and was paid for the rights to have them create more Secret Wars content based off of his work. Now, I think a lot of people are more familiar with the more recent Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars, and I just kind of explained what was happening there with the whole multiverse collapsing. But in the original Secret Wars, it was just this dude named the Beyonder, who's this really powerful, person beyond all space and time, and he grabs up a bunch of the heroes and a bunch of the villains, puts them on a world called Battle World, and they have to fight out for supremacy. And it was said that the original Beyonder wanted to know who would triumph between ultimate good and ultimate evil, and so they set up a group of heroes and a group of villains to battle battle it out, and essentially whoever wins gets their ultimate desires or wish. And the story's kind of fun. Like, it involves the X-Men and the Avengers being brought together as a group of heroes, with strangely Magneto being among them. And then on the villain side, you had Doctor Doom, you had Ultron, you had Galactus, Dr. Octavius, and others. There's a lot of infighting between the heroes and between the villains. The X-Men and the Avengers fight over whether or not they can trust Magneto. And then on the villain side of things, Doctor Doom comes up with this crazy plan to take Ultron and readjust him to then take the power of the Beyonders and use Galactus in order to make all of the villains work for him. Doctor Doom becomes kind of a god in the first Secret Wars with the power of the Beyonder. Before his powers go out of control, the original Beyonder comes back, takes his powers back, and boots Doom off Battleworld and stops the whole dang experiment. But the thing is, even though I feel like a lot of the spirit of the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars will be in the MCU Avengers Secret Wars, I think the spirit of the original Shooter book, which had a big group of heroes versus a big group of villains, is also going to be in there. Now, you add Kang the Conqueror into that mix and you sprinkle in a little bit of like Avengers Forever, and I think you may well have a variant of Kang taking the Avengers and sort of ruling with the Avengers versus a variant of Kang that is working with the villains and doing villainous things. And again, it is labeled as an Avengers movie, so I strongly feel that you'll have a group of Avengers that is familiar to us from the MCU 616 timeline, but also perhaps from other multiversal Marvel stuff, all working together to defeat a group of villains. I'm also intrigued by the title Avengers Kang's Dynasty, because in the Kang's Dynasty run, the Kang the Conqueror variant does come to Earth, but he also brings his son, who is a new version of the Scarlet Centurion, who was another version of Kang the Conqueror from the past. Like, Kang and his many variants is kind of a wild, convoluted thing, but essentially Kang and his son show up and decide to conquer the world in order to save it in Kang's Dynasty. But there's also another possibility on how Kang and Doom could be connected, and that could also have something to do with the Fantastic Four movie coming out before Kang's Dynasty, and a long-standing rumor that Kang is a descendant of maybe Reed Richards, maybe Doctor Doom, or maybe both. Now, this is actually never really well fleshed out in Marvel Comics. Reed Richards, obviously incredibly important to Marvel Comics, so is Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom's time travel platform is the technology that Kang rediscovers way in the future and goes back through time travel. But different stories imply that Kang is Nathaniel Richards, likely a descendant of Reed Richards. But there are also moments in comic where Kang decides maybe he's a descendant of Doctor Doom. In fact, there's even this part in comics where they actually believe they are the same person and that maybe Doctor Doom is actually a variant of Kang. But what if in the MCU, it's very direct? What if it's thoroughly and completely explained that way in the future, Reed Richards' descendants and Doctor Doom's descendants both come together, join family trees, and down the line, you then get Kang the Conqueror, Nathaniel Richards. And I kind of love this because it could add in this sort of Shakespearean or very Star Wars-like element to Battleworld, to Kang's Dynasty, and to Secret Wars. Because what if it's just Kang variants fighting for Reed and his family and Doom and his family to join up on different sides? Like, imagine that, right? Finding out that this is really a family dynamic, not just for the first family of Marvel in the Fantastic Four, but also including Kang the Conqueror and Doctor Doom into that. And the idea of Doctor Doom siding with Kang in Kang's Dynasty and maybe even on Secret Wars and the Battle World that they do, I think that's really intriguing and it adds a little extra element here. I also think that whatever they decide to do with Victor Von Doom, he will play a huge role in Secret Wars and perhaps be a big part of how we all get out of that mess, right? He's either going to take the powers of the Beyonder, take the powers of Kang, perhaps he will betray a variant of Kang and help out Reed Richards and the heroes. All of that stuff is possible. And so to this crazy question of, is it going to be Kang or Doctor Doom that's the big villain for Secret Wars? I think it's mostly Kang, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they find a really interesting and significant way to make Doctor Doom also a huge part of that story. And I also think that Secret Wars in the MCU is just the beginning of something that's going to be very crazy past that. And I actually have a video that I'm working on about Eternity War and how Feige might one-up even Secret Wars. So subscribe to get more of that content. Check out the live streaming channel where we will discuss these different theories and ideas with regards to Doom, Kang, Secret Wars, and all that kind of stuff. But of course, let me know your thoughts about all of the stuff we just talked about in the comments section below.